Okay, I'm reviewing for my flight review. It's really been 20 years since I filed a flight plan. But 2 years ago, I did the flight review after 20 years and went through all the flight planning training and stuff. And so now it's like, do you use all this electronic tablet stuff, or do you just do the old fashioned way of whipping it all out on your maps and all your stuff like that and everything? So I asked my review guy, I said, hey, do I need to do all these maps and papers, or do I need to do it electronically? And he said, well, he says, I'll do whatever the student wants to do. I was like, oh, well, I said, I want to focus on all this electronic stuff because, man, all this paper stuff is a lot of work. In fact, it's so much work. Like 2 years ago, when I got my first flight review after 20 years, he was kind of a younger feller, and not that he had an axe to grind or anything, but he had a particular thing that he really loved. And what he loved was top of climb. And his top of climb thing, oh my gosh, I ended up making a spreadsheet out of it because he did it all by hand. Like, man, this is way too much work for the first 10 minutes of flight. And so for his first 10 minutes of flight, he wanted, oh my gosh, you get the weather here, you get the weather there, you get these temperatures, and you calculate these pressure altitudes, and that gives you information. And then you look up your handbook information from your POHs, and you plug that in, and it already gives you the data, how long it's supposed to take and how long it's going to be. But then that gives you percent differences because of the temperature, and you take that, and that recalculates the number. So now you're at 7.93 for your time, and 2.76 for your fuel, and 10.35 for your distance. And then you plug that information and you get your E6B here, and you end up with a 1 degree right, and your minutes, your fuel, and your time, or your distance. All that work for the first 10 minutes of your flight. So by the time you get done calculating all this junk, that whole page, by the time you do it all by hand, the weather's changed on you, and all that information is bogus. And I heard the greatest thing yesterday on some forum. It said, measure with a micrometer, draw with a crayon, and cut with an axe. And that's exactly what this kind of stuff is. So that's where my instructor 20 years ago said, you know what? Add 1 minute per 1,000 feet of climb and add 2 gallons of gas. Huh. Okay, that was easy. That throws away pretty much that whole page. And so what does Cessna say? They say, well, if you're going to 6,000 feet, it's going to take you about 10 minutes and almost about 2 gallons of gas. So that's way easier. But I really want to it's like, man, all this stuff is hard for my head, and computers should be able to figure this out. So let's do an electronic flight plan instead. So I have Avare. This is, it was free, so I'm cheap, and I have Android junk, so I got Avare. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from Eugene, Oregon to up here to Pasco, Washington. And I've drawn it out. I drew it all out because I was confused. I didn't know what I want to do. Do I want to do it electronically or by paper? So I started out the paper, and when he said I could do it electronically, it's like, that's what I'm going to focus on. So let's do it. So we're in Avare. We're going to do this real quick. Let's see. So here's Eugene. Whoops, where'd it go? Oh, yeah, here it is. So Eugene, we'll go hold on that, and we'll say plan. And then I already know where I want to go. So the next one is my checkpoint here is Green Trees, and add that to the plan. Next one's Country Squires. Add that to the plan. And then we're going to go to Cascade Locks. Where are you? Oh, right here, under the rain clouds. Locks. Add that to the plan. And then we're going to use Goldendale as kind of just a reference point. Add that to the plan. And then we're going to turn right here at the freeway and add that to the plan, which is just this GPS location. Add that to the plan. And then we're going to land here at Pasco. Add that to the plan. Okay, so we added all those airports to the plan here. Now, let's look at it. Whoa, come back. So let's look at the plan. Okay, so we made the plan, and boom, there it is. We go to the plan page right here, and there's everything. Eugene, green trees, country square, country squares, Cascade locks. Okay, so there's our whole plan. Now it's given us a bunch of numbers. So let's check the numbers. Let's see. We got course, heading, altitude. Okay, altitude showing 0. Let's see. We put in 5,500. Let's activate. It says this plan's inactive right now. So let's activate it, and when I activate it, it's going to draw the path on the map itself. So I'm going to activate it. Active. Boom. There it populated all our altitudes in, and now it changed all our winds at altitude. So if I deactivate it here, so deactivate, boom. All the winds, I don't know what those winds are, if they're surface for local area or what they are. But anyhow, when I activate it, the winds change. So activate, boom. So that should be my winds at altitude. It's active, so now let's go look at my map. Okay, there's my plan, or there's my flight path. So that's pretty cool. All the way up here to Pasco. Good. Okay, now the next big question is, on my plan, what do those numbers mean? So we have course. Is that magnetic or true? That is the question. Well, since I already started this on paper, I know magnetic right now is 15. Because in Oregon here, we are at a 15-degree easterly variation. So west is best, east is least. So you subtract east from your true course. So it shows 14, 14, 25. So I've got 15, 25, and then 68. And what do they got? 63. Okay, so it looks like those numbers are magnetic. So they've already taken out my variation, and these numbers are magnetic. Okay, so that's good. So now I know what those numbers mean. So now I need to figure out these winds. 307 at 35. Okay, 307 at 35 knots. Man, that's some screaming wind. And notice it goes 307, 35 to this point, then it changed to 297 to 26. So why did my wind change right here? Where is Avare getting their information? So let's go look at winds. I'm going at 5,500. So let's go look at winds aloft from Avare. Avare is going to go out there, get the official winds aloft readings and weather, and tell me what the winds are. So I'm looking at, starting out here, 307 at 35. So let's go look at my map. Okay, we're here at Eugene. Okay, there's the current Eugene weather. And here we go, winds aloft. I was looking for 307 at 35. This is 310 at 36. I'm at 5,500. 310 at 26. And I was 307 at 35. That's a big difference. Okay, so where's the wind coming from? This report is from OTH, which is North Bend, which is just south of me right here. So I'm here going up there, and right now from this location, I'm getting winds from North Bend. So I'm about, 60 or 70 miles here. How far away am I? I am 62 miles northeast of this location. So the winds reported here in Eugene at altitude come from 60 miles away in North Bend, and it's not what Avare is using right now. So I'm heading north, so I'm assuming Avare is getting its wind from someplace north. So let's go north. So now we'll cruise up here to Portland. What are the winds aloft in Portland? Well, the winds aloft in Portland come from Portland, PDX. They are 310 at 36. And what did my plan say down here? Plan 307 at 35, and it was what, 310 at 36? Okay, so obviously Avare is getting the winds from Portland on the first part of this trip. But why does this say 307 at 35 and Portland says 310 at 36? Well, I think all this software does a little bit of interpolation and calculation and kind of, because you're not at Portland, you're near Portland. And so the software's trying to combine some things here and come up with some numbers. So what was the other number my plan said? The plan said, so it changed to 297 at 26. And that's after we get past our big bend up here. So there's Portland right here. And after we go through our bend up here, it changes to 297 at 26. So then this leg of air is getting our winds from somewhere over here for this section of the leg. So let's figure out where over there. 297 at 26. So let's go back to my map. Let's go to my final destination, which is Pasco. Click on that. Boom. It says my winds are coming from Yakima, and it's at 6,000 feet, it's 300 at 28. And what did my plan say? My plan said 297 at 26, which is really close to 300 at 28. So this Avare software is mixing winds from up here and down here and kind of trying to figure out how to average that wind out to finally calculate me a heading. And so it's telling me a heading. Now I know my course is magnetic, and the winds, these winds look true to me because they're very close to what's reported. So these winds look true, but I'm assuming, I don't know for a fact, that the software is taking the magnetic wind direction and then finally calculating for me a magnetic heading. So this is literally where my nose will be pointed when I fly the airplane. And so that's pretty cool. And so now I can verify that. So I'm going to verify. I'm going to compare this result with two other pieces of software, and one is SkyVector, and the other one is the FAA Flight Service, whoever that is, Lockheed Martin or whatever, Flight Service. They both generate nav logs, and so this is my nav log. But I just want to make sure that this is fairly accurate. I could trust it. Okay, so where are we at here? So there's my flight plan to Pasco. Let's go file this. So plan FAA. Let's see. So here's my. I say prepare, and it says, do you want to discard all the fields and fill it with the one from my plan form? And I say okay. So there, it filled in all the data from my plan back here. So I got a 1x. There's my number. My departure time, I'm going to add an hour to that. Okay, I added an hour. My departure time is an hour from now. So now, better save that before my camera crashes. Okay, so one other thing real quick. I can get my standard briefing from here also. So I can go back to my plan and say plan, get briefing. Briefing. It says get the latest briefing from the internet. I say okay. It goes out on the internet. Boom, sucks down all the METARs along my way. There's my route right here, Eugene to Pasco. So there's the METARs for all the airports in the vicinity. Here's my terminal area forecast for those airports. And then here we got pilot reports. And then finally we got NOTAMs to make sure the airport I want to go to is open. So that's good. So that is I think that's my complete standard briefing from the area. And Avare sucked this off of Flight Service. So what I want to do, let's see, back, is I'll go back to my FAA button, boink, and we're going to file this flight plan. So I have an account with Avare and I have an account with Flight Service. And this is 1-800 Weather Brief. Come on, focus. 1-800 Weather Brief Flight Service. this is your official legal weather briefing location, and it was where my flight plan will be filed when I hit the file button on Avare. That's going to throw it over to here. So let's log on to my account and see what's there. Okay, log in. There we go. Okay, boom, here we are. No current flight plans. So there's nothing here. So let's give it a flight plan. Here we go. File. Bing. You are about to file with the FAA. Are you sure you want to do this? Cancel. I want to make sure my time. I changed my flight departure time. Oh yeah. Okay, I got an hour to work here. So anyhow. So let's do it. File the plan. Are you sure you want to file with the FAA? Okay, boom. It's working. Working. Success. Okay. All right, Avare has shot my flight plan to the flight service. No current flight plans. Let's refresh. Go up here. Refresh. Waiting. Waiting. Boom, there it is. Proposed flight plan from Eugene to Pasco. All right, so they have my flight plan now. So now let's go look at the winds. Let's see where the flight service gets their winds from for my route. I have a route there and they're selecting winds for me. So let's go look at that. So we want to briefing and amend the flight plan. We'll just see what it looks like. Go. Processing. Okay, Eugene to Pasco. And there's all my routes in between. That looks good. So there's my official flight plan at Flight Service. Avare shot it over there, and there it is. So now what I want to do is I'll get a standard weather briefing from here and see what the winds aloft say. So let's go down here to route brief. Route brief. Bing. Okay, there's 500 billion things to look at. I'm interested in winds aloft, so I'm going to turn this off. Here's my winds aloft. That's the one I'm interested in. And we'll see where it shows it gets the winds from. So let's get this. All right, let's get me a web briefing. Bink. Your briefing's being prepared. Okay, there it is. Here's my official briefing from Flight Service. And let's go to, I was interested in winds aloft. There we go, winds aloft. Bink. There they are. Where's it getting the winds from? Portland and Yakima. Okay, so what does it say for Portland? At 5,500 feet, it says 306 at 34. And what did my flight plan say here? Plan? 307 at 35. Okay, well, obviously, it's getting my winds from Portland right there. So that's good. And that's really close to what Portland says, 307 at 35, 306 at 34. And the other half of the leg is getting it from Yakima, which is 296 at 26. And my flight plan said 297 at 26. Okay, great. So Avare is sucking its wind information from the same place that Flight Service is getting its wind information. And Avare is maybe altering the numbers a little bit, doing some calculations, trying to account for my winds all across this whole route, and to get me a better heading. But now Flight Service can make a nav log. So let's look at the Flight Service for nav. Let's look at the nav log for Flight Service. So go down here, close it, go down here, and we have nav log. Boom. Make a nav log. Says, let's go for full page. Blank. Generate a PDF. Blank. Boom. There we have it. A complete flight nav log. Let's see what it came up with. So let's see here. So the first part of to OG28, I've got a heading of 357, a distance of 38 miles. What does this say? This says magnetic heading 06 of 38 miles. So 06, and my Avare said 357. So I am within 3 and 6. So what's that? 9 degrees. Okay, so the heading that the FAA Flight Service came up with is about 9 degrees different. Okay, next part of the leg. Heading 001, 46 miles. So 46 miles at 357. Okay, that's really close. That's only about 3 or 4 degrees off, so that's good. Next leg is a heading of 012 for 25 miles. What do we got here? We show 9 for 25 miles instead of 012, right? So that's 3 degrees difference. All right, and then we have a magnetic heading of 051 for 45 miles. And we have here 56 for 44 miles. So from 51 to 56. So that's 5 degrees off. But you know what? I'm feeling fairly confident that this Avare software is going to get me within the ball field. I'm not doing an instrument approach, so if I can see the ball field from 2 miles or something, I should be good. Let's see what else we got here. Time and routes, 22, 23, 11, 18. What did mine say? Time, 20, 11, 18, 30. Whoops. Oh, I hit this button, so if I go back up here to Eugene, then I'll readjust my times again. 11, 18, 26. 11, 18, 26. Okay. So time calculations are similar. Let's see. What else? So this nav log that Flight Service generated is similar enough to I have confidence in what Avare is doing right here. So that's good. So now let's do another calculation. So we got that one. Now we'll pull up SkyVector. Okay, here's SkyVector. Cool website. And I think you can file your flight plan from here as well. Draw it out, and with your account, they'll connect it up to a flight service and file it from here. So let's do our flight plan. So we got Eugene, plan. We got could not compute the climb and descent. Okay. Let's see, Eugene. And then we got green trees, plan. And then we've got Country Squires, plan. Then we got Cascade Locks. Where are you? Plan. Glendale plan. Then we got I-5, GPS coordinates plan, then we got Pasco plan. Boom. All right, so there it is. I've already got my airplane in here. I do 120 miles an hour. I hold 15 gallons of gas, not very much. And we're going to do it at 5,500 feet, which is the same as what we did for the Flight Service one. And okay, done. So now let's see what the nav log and the winds look like for SkyVector. Okay. Nav log. Boom. All right, here we go. Does all the calculations. Here's the winds and everything, doing this, that, the other. So finally, our magnetic heading is 50, 359, 953, 63, 356, 358. And let's compare that with 6 and 5. And this is top of climb over here, 0. And then finally 12 and 9. 51, 53. 60, 63. 357, 358. All right. And then mine, which was 956, 64, 356. So here's SkyVector, Flight Service, and Avare. And we got what? 0, 356, 953, 356, 956, 63, 356, 358. 64, oops, distance heading, 64, 356. So SkyVector did its own calculation, and it's definitely a hair closer to what the Flight Service says, but you know what? They're all in the ballpark. They're all having to calculate some sort of, they're all having to fudge the winds somehow, because you don't have the winds exactly where you're flying. So you have to do some kind of interpolation, manipulation, something like that. The other interesting thing here, of course, is ground speed. So Flight Service says 119, SkyVector says 116, 129, 125, 147, 150, 150, 146, 118, and 120, and 120. And then, of course, Avare was saying, 120, 120, 127, 142, 143, 120. So that's 120, 150, 146, 118, and 126. So then they're all making calculations on speed as well, and they're not identical. But like I said, they're having to do some sort of manipulation of numbers and winds in order to come up with something. And that goes back to that saying, measure with a micrometer, draw with a crayon, and hack the thing with an axe. So, you're being really specific, but there's so much variation in the whole process that you better be looking out the window and watching your checkpoints. So one other thing about doing this electronically is that when you do it by hand, you don't mess with the wind. So in this example, I actually did most of it, and I just got my wind right here from Portland, 170 at 17 at 6,000 feet. And I used that wind for the whole thing. And so then I had to get my E6B out and then adjust my wind for my headings. And there's my wind correction angle, +3, +4, +2. So that's a lot of work. I mean, you got to pencil all that stuff out. And I actually screwed up on this because I didn't get winds from Yakima. I just used, looks like I just used PDX the whole way down. And I should have got some winds from up here in, where's Yakima? Yakima right there. So here's Eugene. I got winds from Portland. And there's Yakima and there's Pasco where I'm going. So here I am over 100 miles from Portland using winds from Portland to calculate this leg. And then when you get right in here, well, you're really close to Portland. So when do you switch over to Yakima for this leg right here? And so it looked like at the Flight Service ended up switching over right in here somewhere at one of my points. I don't know if it was Goldendale or where it was. So that's the other nice thing about using this software stuff is that it will interpolate the air a little bit to match more of where your route's at. Whereas doing it by hand, I would have picked two locations for a wind, and it would have just been this. I wouldn't have interpolated 170 and 17. I just would use that and that the whole way. And then if I had the Yakima wind, I would just use that Yakima wind. Whereas all three of these packages are editing, or they're modifying the wind a little bit to closer fit where you're flying. So that's another bonus to the software stuff. There is 3 applications calculating my nav log, and now I have some confidence in this Avare because I know where it's getting the winds from, and I know it's doing some manipulation of the numbers to get a heading for me, and now I've compared it with actual Flight Service log that it generated, and I compared it with SkyVector, and so I'm confident my Avare software is going to get me there. So good stuff.